Hey guys, my guest tonight is Dr. Linda Salvin, who will be talking about NDEs and other paranormal things. I'll be right back. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Hey everybody, how's everyone doing today? I think you all said well. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team, based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 strong up and down the state, which means if you have a issue or you think you might have a paranormal issue, we can get to you. It may take us a while, but when I say a while, that's 1 or 2 days, but we will get to you. And in the meantime, we do have psychics on staff who can help you. They'll talk to you on the phone, and if it is something paranormal going on, in most cases, they can calm the energy down before we get out there, and then we can do our thing to kind of help you out. Anyway, today's going to be a great show. My guest tonight is my old friend, Dr. Linda Salvin, and we're going to be talking about NDEs and retrograde because we're just going into retrograde right now. And as I've been posting on Facebook, as a lot of you have seen, things have been flying along for me. And now that retrograde's here, well, who knows what's going to happen, right? A lot of people think of retrograde as a negative thing. So we'll see if the doctor can clear that up for us. You can find us on Facebook, and some of you who are watching on Facebook tonight, please, if you haven't done so already, if you like what you see tonight, please feel free to hit that follow button. We're always looking for followers. Also, during the show, feel free to comment in the chat room, and then show us some love. Give us a thumbs up or two, things like that. Because what that does is it moves us higher in Facebook's FYP. The computer sees that and triggers and moves us higher and gets us out to more people. Same thing goes if you have people in the house that may not have heard the show before. Maybe you can get them involved in listening to us and taking a look at us. Hey, there's this little show over there that's pretty good. You should come on over and watch. Same thing with YouTube. If you haven't subscribed already, feel free to do so. It doesn't cost anything. We've got more than 800 videos of this show sitting over on YouTube. All different topics. I've started to put them into categories so it's easier to find them. If you're into cryptids, there's a thing for that. If you're into UFOs, there's a thing for that. If you're into medium nasty mass on Fridays, there's a thing for that. So I think you'll like what you see. And that goes the same way as Facebook does. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and you can actually give us thumbs up and all that, and smiley faces, and participate in our chat room, and that'll move us up higher in their FYP to where they get us out to more people. I always like to say at the end of the show, if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated my show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We're all equal opportunity here, so we're just trying to get the word out. So that's the thing. During the show, if you like us, please, please, please share. Share. You can find California Haunts on Facebook under California Haunts, California Haunts Radio, California Haunts Ghostly Events, and Sacramento Seers. That's SEERS, as in the Greek Seers. You can find us over on Instagram under Ghosty Gal, that's all lowercase. You can find us at TikTok under California Haunts. You can find us at Twitter under California Haunts. You can find us at Twitch under Cal Haunts. And you can also find us at Meetup. We have a Meetup site at California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team Meetup. I also have a couple of other sites which I'm going to start advertising, and one is a Discord site. And if you've joined the California Haunts Discord, you can become what I call a ghostly groupie. And I do a lot of chit chats after hours for the California Haunts Discord site. So starting tomorrow, I'll be putting links up for that. Okay, well, without further ado, I'm going to bring Dr. Linda in, and we're going to catch up with her for a few minutes, and then we're going to get right down to it and talk about retrograde and things. All right, here we go.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. We're wearing hats. It's winter.
Yes, it's been a while, huh?
It's been a while. It's good to see you. Thank you for asking me to come back, Charlotte. I really appreciate it. And you were on my show, and I'll have you back. And that's what we do. We promote each other.
That's it.
And time's flying, man. And yes, it's a retrograde as of today through January 2nd.
Tell everybody, for the people that don't know you, tell us about you. Yeah, let's hear about you.
I got a master's degree at the University of Michigan. Go Blue. We're going to the Rose Bowl. Yeah. I got out of school in 1977, so I'm old. Okay, I'm turning 70 a month from yesterday. I'll be 70. I can't believe it.
It goes fast, huh?
It goes really fast. I was watching something with George Harrison from the Beatles earlier today, and he was saying how fast life went between 17 and 60. Mm-hmm. When you're going through it, you think you got all the time in the world, but your 50s, your 60s, it's like, oh my God. Remember when your mom would say, the older you get, the faster it goes?
Well,
and we didn't believe it. We didn't believe it. Well, here we are. So who I am a psychic, a healer, a medium, a broadcaster. I've been on radio for 30 years. I started in LA on KBIG 104 FM back in 1994. And they created the original Radio Psychic, which was me. And I ended up nationally syndicated for about 18 years on different stations around the country. But the main thing I think you're asking is, how did I become a psychic and what do I do? I became psychic people after I survived a commercial airline plane crash in 1981. Probably a lot of you weren't even born then, but I was 27 at the time, and I was on company business, and I had my first premonition. I was in San Jose, Northern California, out of town with my partner. I was doing environmental health and safety for an insurance company. And we had to fly up to a hospital to check the ethylene oxide, which is a chemical that sterilizes the equipment. We asked the people not to open up the autoclave, and that's where we were testing. Of course, they did, and they invalidated. We went back to the airport, and I'm facing this way, and Charlotte's looking at me, and it's as if I'm with my partner. I looked at the hangar, out the window where the plane was. I said, doesn't it look like it could crack there? And he said, I don't see anything. You're just tired. Well, I had my first vision. I saw a fuselage or an exhaust settlement on the body of the plane. And an hour and a half later, that's where when we crash landed to avoid collision with another plane taking off on the same runway, which is not very cool. Mm-hmm. We stripped the landing gear. We had an engine fall off, and the plane cracked in half at the same aisle I had the vision. So I slid down the ramp, which looks like a river raft, and I hit my knees, kept running, and then I panned the freeway, and I saw the paramedics, and then I saw the terminal, and I turned. I thought, oh my God, I just survived a plane crash. You go into shock. I was 50 feet out of my body for 4 months while I stand 5 feet 8. And what happened is, that was explained to me about a month later via a psychic, is that I became a walk-in. I said, well, what's a walk-in? She said, it's when someone's near death and another soul takes over and you're a psychic. I said, I'm not a psychic, because my background, people, was epidemiology from Michigan, which is the study of epidemics. And it's the big word these years because of the pandemic with COVID and everything. So it became a big field. I got lost. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't go back to work. I was supposed to be back on a plane like a week later, and there was no way I was getting back on a plane. I was so full of fear and anxiety, and I started hearing voices that day. And I thought, I'm crazy. And I would tell my sister, my mom, my dad. Nobody understood. Now, mind you, because Charlotte knows, there was no internet back then.
Right.
Hey, this is pre-Google, pre-help. You had to really figure it out on your own. And I just kept going through the motions. I'd be depressed. I'd be elated. I'd be scared. I couldn't sleep. The noise of the plane crashing. It's worse than any ride at Disneyland. But I had therapy, and I started searching for God, and I started looking for answers, and all these voices kept coming. And I tested it, like something say be somewhere at 7:47, not 7:45 or 7:50 p.m. And I would meet people I was supposed to meet, including celebrities. And so I was testing these voices, and I thought, this is weird stuff, because there was no one to talk to. Mm-hmm. And I talked to that lady, that psychic, and it turned out, well, here I am 42 years later. I'm known all over the world as a psychic, but back then I was full of fear, anxiety. And I look back now, so your listeners know, it was kind of like an initiation, because in 1982, I got hit by a fire truck a year after the plane crash. Wow. And the joke is, because the captain got out of the truck and he said, are you okay, ma'am? And I was laughing and crying. He goes, oh yeah, last year I'm in a plane crash and I'm getting hit by fire trucks. I mean, you don't hear this kind of stuff. You just don't survive it. But then you might get chills with this next one. In 1984, I was working in an entertainment company, and on my way home on a rainy night, I broadsided a Pinto. And as I drove a Camaro at the time, as my car was spinning out, I said, I just want to go home. And I swear to God, a white light went from my head to the ceiling of the car into the heavens, and the same voice that spoke to me coming down the ramp that said, don't do this, do, said, you can come with us now or stay and do. And I was given a message. And the paramedics got me out, and I said, they want me off the planet. They want me off the planet. I didn't know what was going on. And then I was back in the hospital, and it was just one thing after another. But after all that, it started to calm down until I was playing music. Then in 1991, I got very sick. I needed an emergency hysterectomy, and I became a healer. So here I become psychic. Now I'm becoming a healer. And in 1996, I had 100 tumors removed from my hips and thighs because I was healing so many people. I put the energy back in my body, not knowing, until one day I slapped my hands during the summer and I saw all of the scars on my thighs, and I saw the imprints of my fingers and thumbs. I thought, I figured it out. So there's no one to talk to. Remember, there was still no internet. So I went through what I now, in retrospect, call my initiation by spirit. And you know as well as I do, there's something out there that we don't see, feel, understand it from a much deeper paranormal position than me. I've been in the paranormal. I channeled people for years because after all the tumors were removed, I started communicating as a trance medium, which I did for 22 years. And I had to literally get out of it because it was destroying me. It's very dark. I give you all the credit in the world for sticking with it, doing it. But your people need to know you have to protect yourself.
Yes.
There are challenges. It's not, oh, let's just go find a ghost. Let's just go find a spirit. No, no. We're dealing with some dark energies that can be painful, devastating, upsetting, and they don't like us humans meddling. But there's curiosity, and there's people in trouble that people like you help. So I come from a non-psychic metaphysical background. I came from a very scientific background. Science, medicine, statistics, all that left brain stuff. Then I got into woo-woo, which is the metaphysics, the psychic, the spiritual. And being on radio all those years, I decided to get the PhD in metaphysics to qualify and quantify my science with the spiritual. And I became what a friend of mine who's an MD coined the term metaphysical clinician. So I evolved from not just doing psychic readings and healings and the mediumship, and I have a candle magic line. I evolved even more, which I still do all that, but I now do a lot of integrative health. So people are healthy on the inside because there's so much junk that we're inhaling and ingesting. So I want to bring back my medical background with health and prevention to detox from the glyphosates, the plastics, the molds, and we have parasites in our body. I want people healthy. We're going through some tough, weird times. So that's it. It was not an easy ride.
Well, when you talk about the health, this is true. And I can tell you guys, a lot of the paranormal, I'm not going to say, I mean, it's pretty well known, the different paranormal investigators that have been on, that have been on TV that are sick. That have
they are sick.
And I've noticed even around me, I can make a list of the people that I've known over the last 18 years that have gotten sick doing this work.
It drains, it attacks, it attaches. We get entities, we get sometimes like a suffocation, or you might get so tired and drained, or sometimes not so much the witch's riding, which would happen during the night where you feel like somebody's on top of you or something. Right. But I have been in haunted houses where thumps, that would sound like an earthquake, because the spirit became alive somewhere. And it gives you goosebumps, and it's horrifying. Where I would come home and I would feel sticky or dirty or exhausted. When I first started, I don't know about you, but when I first started, I slept. I think the first time I did like an exorcism of a house, it was for a celebrity out in the Malibu area. I cleansed, but I think I slept on and off for 4 days before I really felt okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I call it being goosed by a ghost. Is what I call it.
It is
Because
people.
I have gone in to do posts, just to show people what evidence we gathered on the laptop, and I felt them go through me. I could always tell because my stomach will flip.
They go
And,
through, they are
and
live, they're real. And you're right. The people that do the TV shows and all that, there's a lot that get sick and die. A lot of mediums have died early. I don't want that for me. I may help people, you help people, but there's us to consider, even though, like in channeling, people want to hear about their loved ones or their cats or their dog or whoever, or their mother, whatever. But we communicate, we give closure, we give the comfort, but we take it on.
yes. Yep. Because there's days I've come back. I mean, over the years, not so much now, but back in the old days, when I wasn't quite as I'm not going to say skilled, because I mean
Well,
it
is like a skill. No,
yeah,
you're
but no
right,
matter what
because we didn't know how to protect ourselves.
It's a learning experience all the way around, to protect. And I remember there were days I would come back, and like you, I would be down for 3-4 days. Completely
People
down.
didn't believe it. People couldn't understand it. And unless you're in the field versus somebody that's super materialistic that makes, $200,000 a week and needs every Gucci bag on the planet and a Ferrari every day. I don't live like that. I mean, and that's not in this field. We don't make that kind of money anyway. But I mean, I'm just saying there's the material world, there's the spiritual world. Our job, what we have learned as healers and helpers for people like you who are listening, we provided on radio, but we've also learned to walk the physical with the spiritual and integrate it. Most people can't. It's one or the other, and learning to integrate. That's the metaphysics that I love, to bring it together to help. We all have a gift. Tell your story how you got involved, because you've been seeing ghosts and the other side and paranormal since you were a kid.
Oh yeah, I was seeing stuff when I was a kid, and family thought, oh, you got this big imagination. And I knew what I was seeing. I started seeing shadow people. Is the first thing I started seeing. And then as I got older, I was starting to see full body apparitions. Then you hit your teen years, right? And you're out doing teen things, so that kind of will settle down. And then I remember when I got involved with my first paranormal team, because I was filming for a show called California Haunts, and it was all about haunted places in Northern California. I remember I would go to these meetings, and the psychics were there. And when I would leave the meetings, I'd be driving back, and weird things started happening, like flashlights were turning on and off in my car.
Because I think you probably as the people need to know, the entities that some of the negative people in that room had jumped on you for light.
Yeah.
They don't understand this.
Yeah, I went from there, and I would call them, and they'd say, "Well, just tell them to go away," and this and that. And I said, "Okay, fine." But I had no help. Self-taught. I had things that psychics like gravitate to psychics, and that's something I found over the years too. So the more I was around them, the stronger I got. To where when I would go to work every day, I could tell what my employer was going to say before he would say it to me. I could hear his voice in my head.
Right.
So I finally I was freaked out because I had stuff going on in my house, and so Sylvia Brown, on Montel, that's how I got through it. I listened to Sylvia Brown, and she made it not so scary.
Some of her books were some of the best during the earthquake in 1994. Somebody gave me one of her books, and it's what got me through the earthquake. And she would talk about Francine, her guide. I don't get guides I have one named Jeff, but who happened to have been the drummer for Toto, Jeff Picaro. He went to my high school, never met him, but when he died in 1992, he started talking to me, and it was the first real communication. I mean, people would pay me to work on the Ouija board to bring him in because he's that strong. Sometimes we get these wonderful spirits, but man, when you get a negative one, look out.
Oh yeah. I've had that. Have them, and I can tell my house is packed with relatives here.
Yeah, so you've got the activity going, but they love you, and they're not in any harm.
But I can tell. I can tell when if I bring something home with me, I can tell it's not one of them right away. Because it doesn't.
So what do you do to release it or cleanse? What do you do? Do you do?
My neighbors are so used to me. I will open up all my windows, all my doors, and I'll kick them out. I mean, literally yell to kick them out.
Well, there's ways to do it with sage and a little broom and all sorts of
all kinds of ways to do it. But yeah,
Frankincense and myrrh. Yeah.
usually I'll just be more dramatic with the windows and doors open.
Get the hell out of here, please.
Yeah, and my neighbors will come over and go, "Oh, you brought home another one, huh?" So they're used to it. A little kid came up behind me. He couldn't have been more than, I think, like 10 or not even that, maybe 8 or 9. He was walking, and I was unloading groceries, and he looked at me and he says, "You've got ghosts."
Well, you can see.
Not you hunt for ghosts, but you've got ghosts. So it makes me wonder, like when I leave here to do things,
what goes on with the house?
The lights are flashing
around.
on and off and stuff. Yeah, what's going on in my house for this kid to say that? So I mean, the house is active, but like you say, for the most part, it's all my relatives, so it's a nice energy, and I don't have any issues. But when something negative does come or something different comes in, I can tell right off the bat.
I have a story I'll share. One night I was on the radio back in, I don't know, 98, 99, and I was doing 5 nights a week with cable radio network way before satellite radio. And I would take calls on the air for 2 hours, and somebody from Chicago called in and wanted to talk to his cousin. Let's just call him Louis. I don't remember. So I try to bring it in, and as God is my witness, the whole station bumped with this loud cracking sound, just like when I was talking about a haunted house. And we went off the air. And you know as well as I do, airtime is expensive. You do not go to commercial for 10 minutes. You pay for every minute of seconds of airtime. And this was national. And I couldn't breathe. And the engineer and the screener were in the other room at the boards. And they looked at me and I looked at them. And we were like, what is this? And until it calmed down, it was a good 10 minutes where we were comfortable enough to go back on the air. So I get back on the air. I say, Louis, who is this Charlie Bob, whatever it was? He goes, oh, it's my cousin. He was in the mob.
Wow.
So I brought in a killer. I brought in somebody if there's a hell, I found it that night. I mean, it was nasty. Yeah, I'll never forget that as long as I live. Luckily, for people that don't understand mediumship, when I'm communicating with the other side, it comes out on my the right side of my head, and I get the birthday and the date of death. So I don't do party lines like, okay, let's get your cousin and your wife and your no. I want one at a time. But if that person, I used to throw up, and I'd tell my client, oh, I can't. I've had an upset stomach all day. I've been puking. Oh, my husband died of stomach cancer, or I'd have headaches and not sleep. Oh, my friend had sleep apnea or brain aneurysm. I pick up the symptoms of what the deceased had towards the end of their life. Then I would channel the communication and the activities, or if they played piano or liked, one time I channeled a spaghetti sauce recipe out of Oregon. I don't know where that came from. And then there was a suicide once, and I said, I see, and this was on the air, and then she called to verify. I saw like Dumbo, the flying elephant. I saw a basketball and some overalls. And she said, why did my son die? I said, he committed suicide. And then I found out he died because his friend started dating his girlfriend. So he was heartbroken. So he hung himself. He hung himself at 21 or 22. Wow. 2 weeks later, she calls back. She said, I know what you're talking about. I said, what do you mean? She found a photograph of her child on his 2nd birthday, wearing overalls, had the little donkey stuffed animal, and a ball. And my book's coming out next year. And she gave me the photo and the permission to print it. I've gotten stories of people I've worked with. There's thousands of books out there, but I don't know that all of them are as legit from the true psychics and the true mediums. Everybody became a psychic after the internet, right? Everybody became a psychic with Instagram and TikTok. Here's the card. He's going to call you if you play this sound. I mean, it's become such a gimmick. But the people like you, the people like me, we have longevity, but we have honest gifts. And I try to break the myths to people that there's a lot of charlatans out there.
Yes, there
You're the real deal. I have sent people to, I don't know if they ever followed through, but there was times I will refer to charlatans. I don't do the paranormal. I don't do the house hunting. I don't do the ghost stuff. I don't want it.
There have been, and you're right, since ghost hunters came on TV, everybody's a ghost hunter.
Yeah, everybody's a psychic, a ghost hunter. Everybody's
Yep.
And
you're
not. They're not.
No, they're not. They're not.
And a lot of those shows are scripted, as you know, but the viewer doesn't know that. You're not supposed to say that, they know that they're going to open the door and there it is. No, it's all planned. It's scripted. Even if they say it's reality, right?
I had a friend, and I'm not going to mention any names, who worked with another team who worked with a psychic, a TV psychic. And he was a psychic himself, and he would
go one with the hearing aid and where they pumped in the information in
I don't know. All I know is that this psychic friend of mine would go through the house ahead of time.
Yeah, and pinpoint where
where it was.
I did that on an audition once. That they asked me to look for it. They filmed it, and that's how they script TV people. It's not so. It's made to make you go, "Oh my God, wow!"
Yeah,
That's why it's called entertainment.
But there's, like you say, there's a lot of charlatans out there. I've been on cases where people have complained because the paranormal team that came out couldn't even operate their cameras.
Because the energy or the entity would take over, and it would scare them to push them back, or it's like a big chill or a wind, or sometimes it's like an amoeba, like a gooey thing on you, like a jellyfish. I don't know how to explain it, but it smothers. It's like
you can feel it. Yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah, you feel it. It's slimy. It's energy, and it's creepy, and it's anyway.
You can feel it.
Yeah. So on a positive note,
let's talk about retrograde. Yeah.
Hey, okay. Let's switch gears here.
Let's shift gears. Tell me, because there's a lot of negativity about retrograde.
Yeah.
Okay, why is there so much negativity about retrograde?
Because everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Breakups, computers, car trouble, flat tires, my ice maker went out. My computer has been wacko.
So is mine. Oh my God.
It's just making weird things like, what's going on with the internet? What's going on? Why won't this shift? Why can't I get a file? Why can't I sign on? It's just glitch, because what it represents, when the planet Mercury, which represents communication, appears to be going in its opposite orbit, which is the retrograde, 3 to maybe 4 times a year, depending on the calendar, communication is thwarted. So you can't get the words out of your mouth properly. People get agitated. Relationships that aren't going anywhere usually break up or dissolve. I have a great example. I'll tell you in just a moment. It happened yesterday, which just blows my mind because I have no idea where it came from, but you'll understand. Sure. Or I'm traveling next Tuesday. I thought, oh my God, it's the retrograde. But it worked out that there weren't any issues getting my flight, my meals, the hotel. When there's obstacles, there's an issue. So not always are you in the flow, out of the flow. I was supposed to have this trip to DC on October 7th, and I was going to meet friends there, but I kept saying something's wrong, something's going to happen. Well, the war broke out. With Israel was attacked on the 7th, and then Dulles Airport was shut down that Wednesday, and I didn't want to be in the middle of that, so something warned me. Now I'm going to go see the holiday decorations, and there won't be as many people because it's cold, and I'll see the White House and some of the monuments. I just want to see it. Right. But the retrograde often means reverse, renege, release, return. A lot of relationships from a year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years will come back out of nowhere. So it's positive and negative, just as you said at the opening of the show. It's not always negative, but it's bumpy for 3.5 weeks. And this time of year just happens to be going through the holidays until January 2nd. So we'll go through all of the holidays. Kind of bumpy. It may get weird with communication, and then your dysfunction at dinner might be a little more dysfunctional than usual. But yesterday I had a man who I've never met. I've known him in the radio industry for 20 years. Mm-hmm. He's huge. He's got a big station, and he's back east. And 2 years ago, we would joke, we would call, he'd ask about like when there were the elections, and we would just be friends about stations and shows and whatnot. But he came to me because his wife left him 2 years ago. I said, well, get a divorce. She's done. You've got 3 grown kids, blah, blah, blah. No, I still love her. And then went on and on. Well, it got to the point that like he was calling me or texting me constantly, like as a therapist, as the psychic, to fix him, to help him. And I said, you're not even paying me. Boy, did he get angry. I said, this is my work. Well, you're my friend. I said, I am. So this went on. And then last week, he texted me to say he's got a date with this girl he's been trying to go with, who said she won't do anything until he's divorced. The divorce is coming through, whatever. But I was busy because a friend of mine passed away, and I was asked to do the eulogy, big music celebrity, George Brown from Kool and the Gang. And I was a little preoccupied with something important versus this guy's date. So yesterday, he texted our message on Facebook, "Why aren't you responding to my text?" I'm like, been a little busy. I don't care. And I said, "Look, I just did George's funeral." He goes, "I don't care about that." And all of a sudden, this narcissistic, selfish, cruel, possessed, egotistical, mean man came through. Well, he blocked me. I said, then I just wrote to him on another email, and I said, "You are cruel." In other words, I just said, "Where do I owe? Why do I owe you anything?" I said, "I should bill you for $3,000. You've taken my time, but you've never given me anything in return." That's the trouble you and I face a lot of the times. People think we owe them, or just one question, "Well, you've got a gift from God. Why do you have to charge?" Or whatever it is. But out of the blue, I kept saying, I don't want to say his name, but I said, "You're not paying me. You're not booking appointments. I am busy. I'll get to you." And he would become super demanding. This was retrograde because yesterday it was the end of this, whatever it was that I thought was professional. He's also the type of man that kept the carrot going all these years. "Yeah, I'll connect this station. Oh, they're too busy. No, we can't get you syndicated." It was always passing the buck with the hope. And now I realize God will do for me what I cannot do for myself. Get out of it. Because I don't want to be strung along anymore. And I let him know, "You don't get to do this." And boy, that angered him. And that'll happen to Charlotte and other people in the field, not just in the retrograde, but it's more magnified in a retrograde. It comes in stronger and it slaps you in the face like, "Okay, get out," because you're being used and abused or betrayed or whatever. It's like, you don't need, life is too short. I just buried my best friend, one of my best friends I've known for 20 years. I mean, I met amazing people in the music industry. I met his massage therapist. His wife, of course, asked me to do it. I was honored. He had 5 sons and me. I was up there. I mean, he knows people all over the world. But she wanted me to talk not about the celebrity, but the man. And this man had a heart of gold and a soul of God. And he was born with the veil. And we always talked about Egypt and spirit and psychics and candle magic and near-death experiences and out of body, because he's lived life. He wasn't just the musician. That's what he did. But his soul touched lives. Your soul touches lives. My soul hopefully touches lives. Okay, we don't have to be way up there. It must be nice to have accomplished. But then it dawned on me. He did. He got his book out 3 months ago. He got the last album with the band out. And he's gone. He doesn't even get to appreciate it. So we work and work and work and we die. And you look around your house, like, what do we need all this for? Who's going to take it? Where does it go? You don't take it with you. It's over. You don't know when it's going to be over. So be nice or do the best you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You think there's any significance now with retrograde hitting at this time of year? Winter solstice is going to start
on the 20th or 21st. Yeah, 21st. I don't know that it's really more significant. I think it's just more intense because, as you know, the winter solstice is the shortest day of the year, just like the summer solstice is the longest day of the year because we're furthest from the sun now. So as we're getting into winter, we're also going to start getting days longer again, even though we just changed the clocks. But the retrograde is more of a shakeup and a realization of a checkpoint for your mechanics, communication, reversing things, renewing things, revisiting. And it's also a cleanse. A lot of the times it's a cleanse like this idiot I finally got rid of yesterday, as opposed to some of the new things I'll probably experience on my trip. I could think, oh my God, don't travel. It's the retrograde. But I looked at it. I had started in October, so I really kind of renewed it. It's not like it was brand new. People say, if you read about the retrogrades, they say, don't travel, don't make any new plans, don't change banks, don't sign a escrow if you're buying a house, wait till it's over. Most of the time I adhere to that. This time I felt it was right because I'd already started the process. I wouldn't have started brand new at this point. So there's kind of not rules, but suggestions, folks, for the retrograde. You can Google it. There's plenty of astrologers and astrology sites, or just say Mercury retrograde will give you the dates of each year because it happens at least 3 times a year, and they'll give you your, was it 3.5 weeks that
Right.
it exists because the planet Mercury goes around the sun every 3 months.
Well, the reason why I was talking about solstice too is that we're going to be doing, well, Nancy Matt says I'm not, solstice readings on Sunday, and it's that's also a time of looking back and getting rid of
Reflection.
the reflection and renewing stuff. So it's kind of like
Yep.
it's like a similar process as this retrograde is going to be.
Yeah, it's wonderful because this weekend when it hits, or next week rather, when it hits, it's an exciting time. As much negative stuff is going on in the world right now. This is a time for healing and cleansing, and Charlotte's right. With the retrograde, you're being forced to look and feel, and then the solstice is that beautiful sun, moon, earth connection of life that'll accelerate the cleanse and the connection, and you can really feel a lot of the energy. A lot of people don't pay attention to it and they get on with their life, but if you're on a more spiritual, metaphysical, new age, whatever you want to call it, there's different levels. You're more attuned to the energy, or you watch the moon, the full moon, the waning moon, the crescent moon. People are connected. Yeah, there should be a lot of change, and we're coming into that election year. We're coming into some huge changes. Hopefully for the better.
I hope so. Now, when you talk about having an NDE, that out of body NDE that you had, when you talk to
They're
people,
2 different things, and that's where people get confused. Remember,
okay.
near-death experience is the NDE, the OBE is the out-of-body.
Okay.
So people go, "Oh, I'm psychic." No, you're intuitive. Just like people think, "Oh, everybody's psychic." No, not everybody's psychic. Everybody's intuitive. You can grow and learn like we have evolved. My first NDE, which was the near-death experience, was the plane crash, a Boeing 737. And then the second was getting hit by the fire truck because I braced and I went out of my body, and I thought, oh my God, here we go again. And, my brain was like scrambled eggs, and my soul was over there and my body's over here. And I'm like, I did not just get up and go back to my car to finish the job interview I was on my way to. I went home and I isolated, and I got into a shell. I got fearful. Like, why are these things happening? And then 2 years later, when I totaled the car and had the white light experience, that was the near death and out of body again, because I felt that white light, the soul, which later, I think just this year, somebody told me it was my grandfather who told me it wasn't time, but said I can come if I want to. Wow. But I chose obviously to stay. And then years later, I say, this is my initiation. I am very connected to the other side. I may look like a normal person, but I have a gift, and I'm on a frequency a lot of people don't identify with. And you're like that. They don't understand us. And it's kind of sad because we know a lot of people, but we're really loners. We do the work, then we're exhausted. It's not like doing accounting and law. Everybody's tired, but this uses a different type of inner energy beyond the cognitive world. I'm not saying nobody's job is easier or better or less than or what, but when you're dealing with spirit, it's different. And the only way I could define the last NDE out of body when I was in that car accident and that white light hit. Since then, I feel like a bumper car, like, at the pier, they've got those posts that go to the ceiling for the electrical charge. So the cars, I feel like I'm not connected, I'm like a bumper car, but it channels through me. But it did not happen overnight. Just like you said, as a kid versus your teens, you evolved, had to trip and fall, because it's not like you go to school and learn this stuff. You don't. Or they think you're wacko.
Right. Now, in talking to clients that you have about NDEs, do you see like similarities in how everybody experiences them?
Absolutely. The near death is also one that will give a PTSD syndrome, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, because it's so big, like going to war. The people I deal with, a lot of ex-military, and they're all shocked from what they saw, experienced the killings, the dismemberment, whatever. I had a girl yesterday. My timing is so off. I don't know if you're losing track of time these days, but one girl fell through the ceiling. No, fell into like the floor opened up and she fell 2 stories down and she broke bones and punctured her lung. And now she's got PTSD because she was trapped in this like a well until somebody found her. That too is near death. I said, you're going through a near death experience. You don't even know that you're opening up spiritually. And I explained to her because she came so frantic. I said, calm down. Let me explain to you what this is. Thankfully, unthankfully, whatever, I went through it 40 years ago. So now I can identify it when they come to me for help. And I can help them in terms that are more spiritually based, not so psychological or left brain, which they don't understand. And I can help, or I do candle magic. But with this one, she wants to work with me. I have one in Korea that doesn't want a therapist. She wants me as the metaphysical spiritual doctor. There's different ways of treating each person. As you know, each case is different. So each person that comes to me is different. Some just want to know if he's going to call on Thursday. I'm like, oh, here we go with that one. They don't want the depth. I want the depth. But each case is different. But a lot of people say, oh, I had a near-death experience. And I'll think, I hear their story, said that wasn't near-death. You just had an accident. Because if it was near-death, it would have been blah, blah, blah. Or you hear the out-of-body, which is where the soul leaves, just like when we astral project at night. We'll get to that in a moment, which is different. But the out-of-body, I've heard many times on the surgical table, as have you. If they're having surgery, the soul will go up to the ceiling, watch the doctors operate and do their thing. A lot of the times we leave our body to not feel the pain that the body would be feeling. When I was in the plane crash, it was explained to me by becoming the walk-in, my soul left. I didn't feel the pain. I remember the whoosh whoosh sound, and I was different that day. I mean, it happened instantaneously, and I was a different person going on that plane versus getting off that plane. But it took 6 years to start integrating and understanding and putting it together and trying to figure out life and whatever. But the average person with an OBE, out-of-body experience, will see themselves leave literally a physical sense and appear like outside themselves. When I was in the plane crash, it was like a cyclops. So 50 feet over here and 5 feet 8 over here for 4 months. If you're having surgery, or if you've been in a car accident, if you've had, who knows, a boating accident, the girl falling down the shaft, you're going to freak out somehow. Not everybody's ready to get up and get back on the horse. Right. Not everybody can just go because they don't. The other people say, oh, don't worry about it, just get going. They don't have the spiritual compassion of what's really happening internally. And that's where I come in to help put it together. We're like a cracked egg. You got the mind, body, spirit. You got to put it together to function. But the out-of-body experiences I've heard, one was in a drowning experience in the ocean in Hawaii. It was kind of a near-death. Yep. You've heard that one on my show, my neighbor. Another would be in surgery. Another was, like I said, I have a lot of retired military people, and I've heard, a plane that went down, the bomb that went off, and what they went through, and how some of them would be in such shock that they would leave their body not to feel the shock, but they're left with the PTSD, right? There's different, you can be bucked off a horse and leave your body because you don't want to feel the pain of the concussion or the ground. Did you ever have that real out-of-body experience yourself? Have you had out-of-body, not just the astral projection?
I have not. I don't think I have. No. I just know I had. I just know I have what I believe. I think I had an NDE, but as far as the out-of-body, I don't think so.
Now, before you were a teenager, when you were younger?
Yeah, when I was younger, in a car accident, yeah. And how suddenly I felt so calm in the car. Like, okay, that's cool.
A lot of times, a spirit guide or an ancestor will come in, like an angel, an earth angel, and comfort us, no matter what the impact might be, but all of a sudden you feel safe and warm. Like there's an angel. There are earth angels. And yes, people like you or me will bring in spirit guides and they'll protect us. There are earth angels. I remember one time I had some plastic stuff, big ball of plastic got caught underneath my wheelbase on the freeway. And in LA, you don't just pull over.
Right.
So I didn't know what to do. And all of a sudden, this gorgeous Adonis looking man gets out of the car. And I had pulled over to the side. He goes, there's a gas station at the next exit. He was dressed impeccably. He was driving a BMW. I looked up. I said, thank you. And I looked again. He was gone. I mean, in an instant, because that was an earth angel that came to help me. They do exist. They pop up. Or how many stories have you heard of children or adults saying, well, there was that man over there. He helped me get out of the car. And there was nobody there. But that's an earth angel. Then you got the ones that are meeting Jesus. I mean, there's all sorts of stories of spirit.
My dad had an NDE when he was in the hospital with pneumonia.
Oh, because he was probably close to death and he was scared.
He coded and his dog came to him. The dog that he had after
I just got chills.
Yeah, he was in the Coast Guard and he fell in love with one of the patrol dogs. And he was able to get it sent home after World War II. And so his name was Laddie, and you know, eventually the dog died from old age, but he was in the hospital, and he says that he says I woke up, all the tubes were on me, and the dog was at the end of my bed.
Yes, and people ask, do our dogs go to heaven? Do our dogs go to the light? Can you bring in dogs and cats and birds and fish? Yes, I do communicate with all of the spirits. They're spirits, which is why they're so loving and they're so innocent, but they're our protectors. And the cats especially are very in tune to our emotions. So on the other side, you've got all these people that abuse animals. That makes me so sad because they're living, breathing, feeling beings. They're sentient. There's no reason to abuse these animals any more than a person. Good for your dad, but that dog was your dad's spirit guide all his life.
And my dad, you know, was talking to it, and the dog was talking to him. And my dad said, well, can I come with you? And the dog said, no, it's not your time yet. And it turned around and walked away from him.
I just got chills,
Yeah.
Just like when I was in the accident, I said, I want to go home. Well, you can come with us now or stay. And it's like, okay, I'll stay. I probably could have left my body at that moment. They were ready to take me. And I've made jokes through the years, like I've tried to get out of here. They won't let me, you know. But people who have out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, very different than like the astral projection when you leave in your sleep.
Now, let's talk about that.
Yeah, because how many times have you felt like you're vibrating and you're trying to wake up and you can't open your eyes, but you feel this vibration where you hear the hum and you're struggling? That's because your soul is re-entering. It's like a spaceship coming into re-entry. Our souls travel. We go to our boyfriends, our girlfriends, our parents. We're traveling to Europe or Korea or wherever we're going. We travel. We communicate. The Palladians, which is another theory from a different galaxy, a lot of times they'll be working on us at 3, 4 in the morning, and then we wake up because we just got a download. All this stuff is real. I thought it was wacko until I started experiencing it. But the astral projection, I used to astral project all the time as a child, not so much as an adult. But the soul would leave, but I remember the re-entry would be like, oh, here I go again. And there's still times now, I guess, when I wake up, sometimes I'm like chilled and I'm trying to wake up, but I'm not able to just open my eyes and start, you know. It's a process. So I know I'm re-entering, but in a different way now because I'm the level I'm at. Lovers, people who love each other, especially, and you probably know this one, and you've heard your other psychics say, the non-committal relationships where there's a twin or a soulmate, but they're not ready to be together. They will have a lot of astral projections. They'll have astral sex. You can get super sexual, feel like they're in your room and they're doing all sorts of things, or you can hear them talking telepathically. That's real. That man, that woman is sending their soul, their thoughts, their energy to the one they're attracted to. You're not crazy. It's real. Then it calms down, it goes away. But that happens a lot because the love is there, but so is the fear. And the fear is outweighing the love until they go through their journey to come together as a unit. And a lot of times that's a soulmate sign when you
Mhm.
have the astral projection with a loved one. It just takes time, and it's never in our time. It's always God's time. And I teach people, as I'm sure you have, we live on a clock. We have a calendar. We have time. We know we have a month. We have a day. We have an hour, whatever. We have a year. There's no limits of time in the spiritual world. It just is. It just goes. So
Mhm.
people say, well, when's he going to call? Or when's she going to show up? Well, I can't say that for sure because I can see what I think is going to happen over a certain period of time. Or I hate it when they go, well, if it's July, you said. I said, I'm not God, and people have free will, and the universe has its own timing. They don't like that, but that's the truth. And if it's seen, it will probably still happen.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Now let's talk about. Let's just kind of jump back to NDEs and that.
Yep.
If I remember the story of the person in Hawaii, if I'm thinking of the same person you are, isn't that the one where they had a negative experience during the
There are
NDE?
people that have negative experiences because when they have a near death and they don't want to come back,
Mm-hmm.
and then they fight like, why did you save me? Why couldn't I die? Why couldn't I be at peace where it is on the other side?
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a sense of contentment, peace. There's no pain outside the body. We have pain in the body:
Mm-hmm.
grief, shame, guilt, disappointment,
Mm-hmm.
loss, uh, uh, ego.
Mm-hmm.
But when we have a real negative out of body experience, it's usually when people have seen something in the spiritual world that was probably beautiful. Then they have to come back to what we know as reality in our body and deal with paying with the bills or unfaithful relatives and abusive friendships or a loss in business or money or whatever. And the ugliness is having to deal with life, which,
Mm-hmm.
as we were saying earlier, is short. These are the lessons.
Right.
But one of the worst near death experiences I think I've heard, besides that thing I brought in on the air years ago
Sure.
from the mob, I think most of them I hear from war. Most of them are the people, the soldiers, not just women. There's those that sacrifice their lives, but
Mm-hmm.
those that come back have so many stories. The vets that are so messed up and they're not always taken care of properly. But if they were to teach the spiritual side,
Mm-hmm.
they heal faster. But nobody in the psychiatric world is trained really to do that yet. They're starting. They're starting to see a different side. But I would say that some of the most devastating near death would be walking away from something so traumatic that it
Mm-hmm.
is unbelievable. Just like with the plane crash, it's unbelievable. You don't stand on a field looking at the plane you were just on its belly on fire, cracked in half. You saw it. It's too
Mm-hmm.
much for the head to
Right.
comprehend.
Right.
That's where training and healing and patience, faith comes in.
Right.
But car accidents, when people walk away from a car that caught fire and the paramedics get them out, that's near death. You're facing your death. All of a sudden, there's the flames, and then just like with your dad, the dog showed up
Right.
when he
Right.
could barely breathe.
Mm-hmm.
We're
I
fragile,
find
but we don't
I,
think so.
I find this fascinating, to talk about this. Also, how do you feel about the whole concept of heaven and hell?
Honestly, I'll tell you, one, I'm Jewish, so I was brought up not to believe in hell.
Okay.
But like I said earlier, with that one weird call 30 years ago or 25 years ago, if
Mm-hmm.
there was a hell, I found it with that dark, painful, ugly thump in that
Mm-hmm.
man.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think we are in hell. I think Earth is the hell, which
Mm-hmm.
is why it's never going to be a peaceful planet. It's a warrior planet. If it's because astrologically it comes out as warrior, there's always war here. There's
Mm-hmm.
always just the right now we're in a spiritual war more than ever. I think life has evolved since the 1600s of the Illuminati and all that. It's all coming of the planet's planned. There's a whole system that a lot of people are just beginning to identify rather than just getting up and seeing life as life.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Lord's Prayer says it all. when you start talking about on earth as it is in heaven, the reason that prayer makes so much sense is they're trying to bring prayer into our lives
Mm-hmm.
so that we can have peace on earth as we find in heaven. So when you have a near death experience like this negative experience, you
Mm-hmm.
want more of that peace. I help people find that peace. I help people heal so that this agitation is gone, where you're not always fighting inside the body.
Mm-hmm.
But the hell, I believe that there's a purgatory, or I believe that there's a other place to go. Whether it's the flames and all that, I don't know, but I've read, just
Mm-hmm.
like you've probably heard and interviewed and seen on different YouTube, people who have testified to have experienced hell that is not this dimension. I don't want to find out. I don't want to see it. I do know that in all the channeling I've done over the last 30 years or so, I've learned that the more spiritual you become in this lifetime or your incarnation, the higher you go as you ascend. And I've never not been able to bring anybody in. So they're always in the light, whether it was suicides or car accidents or overdose, whatever. Um, I don't know what it really takes to go that way if it really does exist. I don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
with graphics and videos, I don't know how much is made up versus someone's real horrible experience. So I'm not the one to ask, but one day after the plane crash, 1981, when the psychic stuff was starting, Charlotte, I thought, this is the hell. I'm in hell. How do I
Mm-hmm.
get out? And then I started looking at life and looking at people and how we're all running around trying to achieve things, but we can't get out. We're here for our lifetime. So you
Right.
got to make your heaven on earth and bring in the spirit. I never believed in any of this stuff till it happened to me.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. What do you say to people who think they might be psychic?
A couple of things. I'll ask if they can predict time or events, or what do you think? Well,
Mm-hmm.
no, I just feel this. No, that's intuition. Or you can get a chill, or you can feel something. I'll say, if you're really wanting to know if you're psychic, then call. Let's book an appointment. Let me test you. So I'll ask them a question about travel, my boyfriend, my career, my mom, or I don't know, something general that a psychic would answer, right? And if they
Mm-hmm.
can't answer it, or even come close, then I know they're not psychic. They're trying to sub guess it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you can't evolve. I'm not one to teach it. I can help you open up and understand what to do with what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Um, excuse me. In 19 was it 1993? I don't even remember, but I think that's when we had the LA riots with the
Mm-hmm.
Rodney King thing, right?
I
It
think
was
so.
about 3 weeks before that, I started writing a song, and I kept seeing the city on fire, all these flames. I was talking about the city catching fire, and we caught fire 3 weeks later with the riots. And so I swore I don't want that part of the gift. I don't want to be Nostradamus. I don't want to see world events, although unfortunately slash fortunately, people who know me well remember in 2015, I started predicting what we were coming into,
Mm-hmm.
and it happened. I remember when Trump was elected, I said, oh, I called my dad. I said, I see concentration camps. Something's going to happen. Things are going to change. Oh, what are you talking about? Well, now we're hearing about the COVID camps and what are they doing? And are they going to put us away because you're sick? Or are we going to have 15-minute cities? I mean, we're coming into some bizarre, weird times. Is it real? I don't know. I don't know. But a lot of what I saw is starting to happen. I don't know. I just do what I can to take care of myself and help
Mm-hmm.
people. Because as I've learned, the more you help, the more you get. And the more you help, the more spiritual you become. And the more you give, the more you get later. It just sort of plays off itself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not dissing the politicians and the
Sure.
celebrities. They've got a whole different agenda. But I'm not at that level, but
Absolutely.
I like the soul. I like hearing people's stuff. to get them on the right path in their journey. Just like you got to calm down their activity in their homes, and they're scared. They hear things. Oh
Yep.
my God, there's a rat in the attic. No, it's a ghost. No, it's a squirrel. No, it's an entity. No, it's you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's our job, to go in there and get in there with the fluorescent lights to see if there's rat pee trails, and things like that to prove it.
When you walk into a possessed area, basically it is a possession of the spirit. And it's like walking into that membrane we were talking about. You can feel like you're almost going against a buoyant wall. You're coming into this dark, heavy, webby thing. Do you like cut through it with a utensil, or do you talk to it, or do you take a certain type of instrument? What do you do to melt it or break it so that you can do the work and get
We
rid of
talk
it?
to it. We talk to it, and of course, there's other aids we can use. There's, you got the holy water thing. You got, like you say, you got sage and all that. So we talk to it, try and get, try and break through to get it down. Then we'll call in one of our psychics or shaman, take it from there with it.
And have you found that a lot of it is like burial grounds, or somebody died in the house and they haven't transitioned to the other side and they're stuck, or they're angry because one died and the other didn't, and this is my house, not your house?
Yeah,
You find out a lot.
You run into a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of that. But you know what's sad about things now is because of the TV shows. For the first, I would say, 15 years, well, maybe less, but the first 13 years I did this, it was always something like that when you went out. It was Uncle Bob or something, something like that. But it's sad because these TV shows have ingrained demons into everybody, and so when you get them on the phone, they don't want to hear. People don't want to hear anything. Oh, no, I know it's a demon. I know. And it's like
They
you
go
don't know
way to the other side.
Yeah.
They're talking like that about music has evolved. Like when I came up with the folk rock and the Joni Mitchells, and now it's all like Illuminati signs and devilish signs, and they're wearing red, and everything's trying to brainwash society into the negative and the devil worship. And I'm like, I don't even understand it. But I look at some of the art, and it's probably, it could be kind of dark, but you have a choice to follow it or not. And if you're that into it, I don't think it's going to change unless you really succumb. You have power within yourself. The dark is there. You can learn how to find, like, not everybody's compatible. Not everybody's your friend. You can walk into a room full of people and right away know, I don't belong here. Or you weave through a crowd and you pick up 2 or 3 vibes, and all of a sudden you got a friend for life. That's just life. It's a big sea of people.
Yeah.
It's a jungle.
Yep, absolutely.
But we have choice.
So what's next for you?
Well, I have I do 3 shows a week, as you know. I've got my 3 podcasts, and my candle line, Wicks of Wisdom, is going into a new evolution of digital marketing, where I was on TV for years and with the radio. But I've got a new team working on that, and then the book will come out. I'm meeting with my editor Friday to get to the next level. We're almost done. It's taken a long time because the story kept changing as I evolved. I didn't know where to end it. It probably means I got 2 more books. And then I am traveling, and next year I hope to sell some of my songs and be more creative. As much as I love the psychic stuff, as I said earlier, I've gotten more into healing with the integrative health and some detox formulas to cleanse the body, because there's a lot of poison out there that you want out of your cells and your organs. And if you can help prevent the cancer and stay healthy, you'll live longer, hopefully. You just never know when it's going to hit, right? So I'm going to stay on the radar, obviously, with my shows. And I'm in talks with somebody about a TV thing, but it's always speculation because, as you know, we had the strike down here in LA for 9 months. So everything was put on hold. So I don't know. I just sort of like go through each day. I plan, but I think what's happened, Charlotte, is through the years, I don't get as excited about my goals anymore, because sometimes you get right up to it and it moves, or somebody's promise doesn't come through, or the expectation is different. Or I get to it, and I think with maturity, we find that it's more, I, for myself, am less in awe. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I can take this now. I ran from 2 record deals. I ran from a comedy thing. I ran from a couple loves. Like, I probably would have had a family and married, but I wasn't ready for whatever. I had to
Right.
do this thing. This spirit led me, kind of like a musician had to give up family life because he wanted to be on the road. You can't
Mhm.
have it all comfortably.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
what's next is, I think I'm just growing into a new level. I've done the footwork, 35 years of radio and psychic, and then now the integrative medicine, the metaphysics, the writing, but it's always still going to be touching other people. It's all about the people.
Absolutely. How can people find you?
LindaSalvin.com. Dr. Linda Radio is 24 hours a day, drlindaradio.com. They could go to YouTube at Dr. Linda Salvin, SALV like Victor, IN like Nancy, Alvin with an S, or Facebook, Linda Salvin. Just type in my name. I'm all over Google somewhere. You'll find me. And if they want a phone number, toll free, 888-509-1077. And then I'm going to have you back on in the next month or so. Because I
All
think
right,
it's been
sounds
about
good.
6 months, right?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Well,
What are
thank
you
you.
up to? We got to finish with you.
Okay, finish with me. Well, I had to take a brief break for health reasons. I'm back. We're back, doing kind of doing a team rebuild right now, but we're getting back out there, and I'm going to be filming our team documentary. We're going to be doing the haunted hotels up and down the state of California, the Gold Country, and all that. So our documentary is going to be coming out, and
That's great.
I'm teaching a few second development classes there, here and there and stuff. So we're also going to be doing ghost tours at some of these haunted places. I've started to make arrangements for that. So what happens is people come in, pay, and we'll take you around and we'll take you on a real ghost hunt.
Let me know if you want me to participate with any of it. I'd be glad to help and
Sounds good.
collaborate with you.
Sounds
I've
great.
enjoyed it as always with you. So much fun to talk to somebody that gets it,
Absolutely. Well, we'll have to get you back on again later on when things are rolling for you and whatnot. Okay?
Yeah. Go Blue. We're going to win at the Rose Bowl, right?
Yep.
Have a wonderful holiday.
You too.
All right. Talk soon.
All right, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, yeah, it's always fun to have her on. I love talking with her. I know you guys like listening to her. Tomorrow we're we're not going to be shifting gears really, but Dave Bender is going to be on with us tomorrow when he's going to be talking about the logical side of ghost hunting. When we go out on a ghost hunt, it's not like as Linda would say, the woo woo. We want to go out and make sure that we have looked at everything possible that could be causing the issue. As Linda mentioned, it could be rats up the attic. It could be anything, and that's our job as ghost hunters, is to go out and ferret all that out before we decide that it could be a paranormal issue. So we're going to be talking to Dave Bender. He's really good at doing that stuff. So he's going to be with us tomorrow to talk about that side of ghost investigations. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. And as I always say, if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We're always looking for followers and subscribers, and I'd really appreciate it if you spread the word on us. Sunday, you can join us at 6 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be doing, we're not going to be doing, I'm going to be hosting Nancy Matz. Medium Nancy Matz is going to be with us, and she's going to be doing a solstice reading for you guys. You can ask any questions you want because, of course, like we talked about earlier, solstice is old stuff, current stuff, and new beginnings. So you can ask a question about anything you want, and who knows, maybe one of your deceased loved ones might come in and she'll talk about that. And we're talking, for the price of $20, you're getting anywhere from 5 to almost 10 minutes reading from Nancy in a more private environment than live on TikTok, live on StreamYard. I'm on so many of these things I forget. So join us. So head on over to the California Haunts Meetup. You can find that at California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team Meetup and sign up over there. And that'll be Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific. All right. That being said, I'm going to let you guys go. I'll see you guys tomorrow, our usual time, 6:30 p.m. And have a great rest of your evening.